Alright everyone, welcome back to the channel for another Bitcoin update. So in this episode, I want to talk about the potentiality of Bitcoin having already seen its local bottom. I'll be letting you know the two major price targets that I need to see broken to the upside before I can become mid to long term bullish again. With that being said, let's jump right into today's video. So, you know we're all down bad in crypto when we're getting out of bed for price targets not seen since 3 days ago. If we look 1, 2, 3 days ago, we were opening at 20,800. Today we pumped to just under 20,800 and we're throwing ourselves out of bed. This is even more hilarious when you do come over to the Heikenashis and realize that this was only 2 days ago. The Heikenashis opened around about 20,800, and once again we made a lower high from 2 days ago. Once again, coming up to the EMA ribbons on the daily, not quite testing them so far, and being pulled to the downside. So I would just like to highlight before we do jump into this is a lower high. So just because I think, or not because I think, just because I recognize this is a lower high, does that mean I don't think that we can push up any further? Absolutely not. I just think it's funny how we're so down bad in crypto at this moment in time. What I would like to say is I will keep that same energy as I always do on my channel. I always have this saying: when you have a failed move, you have a fast move in the opposite direction. Let me show you what I mean. You've got an asymmetrical triangle here, right? And you have, let me mark it flat. You've got an asymmetrical triangle breakout here, and you had an asymmetrical triangle breakout right about here. Now, if we do extrapolate the price target to the upside, what you can see is this was the price target, this was the price target. We had a failed move to the upside, got rejected, and because of that, you know, we backtested this twice, solidified this as a failed move, and as you can tell, this failed move caused a very, very fast move in the opposite direction. Now, the same happened with this fractal over here. Let me clear this up a tiny bit. So the same happened with this fractal so far. I mean, once again, I'm not going to run through it extensively. If you do watch my channel, you would have heard me talk about this probably 1,000,001 times by now. So asymmetrical triangle breakout, didn't hit the price target, came back, back tested. But this is where it gets interesting, because let's say this is not an asymmetrical triangle, or let's just say in the higher time frames we're forming something else, and this would be this bearish flag. So what's interesting about this one is you've got a bear flag breakdown on this pole, you've got run up, run down, run up, and you're perfectly trending within this, and then you break to the downside, and this right here, this was a failed move to the downside. So once again, I will keep the same energy no matter which way we break. A failed move does normally always equals a fast move in the opposite direction. So in the very short term, I do think it's possible that Bitcoin can move up to some of these higher price targets, like 23,000, before we do chop back down to the bottom of this. I do honestly think this would be beautiful, because round about this time over here is where we're going to have the GDP reports. It's where we're going to have the next FOMC meeting. So, you know, if GDP is negative, we're in a global confirmed recession. If the FOMC comes out and they increase the interest rates by 100 basis points, we could just see a breakdown later on in the month. So once again, I'm personally not getting out of bed for this move yet. There is a few things that I would need to see get invalidated and to happen before I can get out of bed in the mid to long term. And when I say long term, I really mean within the next couple of months or so. I'm always long-term bullish on Bitcoin, and I think you know that. I've been saying this since 25,000. I've been buying in $1,000 increments to the downside. However, I still do not believe the bottom is in at this moment in time. So let me show you why. Right off the back, number one, just to quickly reiterate this fractal is playing out absolutely beautifully. Broke out the asymmetrical triangle, invalidation point, created an M pattern, double top in the daily EMA ribbons, breakdown. Asymmetrical triangle, break to the upside, invalidation point, backtest support, break back up to the upside. We're not quite in these EMA ribbons. So, you know, while I say it's likely that we could move to the upside, 23,000, 23,200, to kind of solidify this bear pattern a little bit more, and this would kind of always tie in with what I'm saying: a failed move equals a fast move in the opposite direction. This would prove this, because we would have had this failed move, and if we keep moon rocketing to the upside right now, this will just prove that this does stay true many times. But however, we can still come up and complete this fractal. You know, we can come up to as high as 21,500 really, and if we do M out back to the downside, this will mean that this fractal is 100% correlated to this fractal over here, apart from the failed move. So, you know, about 90-95% correlated. So in plain and simple terms, what do I need to see to get invalidated? And then I'll tell you what I need to see happen before I can become bullish for Bitcoin. So number one, the hidden bearish divergence. This has been playing out for a while now, all the way since down here. Hidden bearish divergence is where the price action bearishly diverges from an overextending oscillator. You've got a series of highs up here, followed by a series of lower highs here. And as you can see, I mean, it would not be surprising to see us move up to 21,500 and then move back down to the downside. And we do also need to take into consideration, you know, you can move up to 23,000, 22,500. Let's say we move up to 23,000 right here before heading back down to the downside. You could just see that this would once again be a lower high. You know, it would definitely be diminishing this line of attack, but nonetheless you would still be in a downtrend. So we've still got a ways to go. What do we need to see broken before this hidden bearish divergence can be invalidated? It's as simple as breaking above where this trend started, and you can see this trend started right about round here at 23,300. I think we looked at this before. 23,280, basically 23,300. Did I say 22,300? If I did, I meant 23,300. That is the approximate target we would need to see a break above before this hidden bearish divergence can be invalidated. The RSI is heading up quite strongly right now. I would also like to say, you know, I really just want to make this video to talk about my price targets, but also look at the money flow indicator right now. We're all the way up here at 80. We're extremely overbought right now, and this is beautifully playing out with this divergence, because it's going to take a lot of momentum for us to move back up to these price targets. And for example, we could like just move this over to the next data point and we could come up to, you know, 22,000, and this would still be playing out a beautiful, this would not even be like medium to weak bearish divergence. This would be strong hidden bearish divergence, even with the trend line moving up like this. So once again, need to take it with a grain of salt. This is the same price as it was 3 days ago, and the money flow indicator is so overbought on the daily time frame right now. The last time we were at these levels, we were literally, you know, all the way up here. I made a video about this the other day, and it's just got even worse. We're even more extended. I think it was yesterday we talked about how overextended the money flow index was. Yeah, we were right here. And, you know, once again, it's even more overextended right now. So so first price target, 23,300. That does need to be taken out before I can become mid to long term bullish on Bitcoin again. And once again, I'm always a perma bear on Bitcoin. I'm literally a Bitcoin store of value maxi, so I have been buying. I'm just waiting for lower price targets as well. So what is the maximum price target, or more importantly, what is the final level in the sand I would need to see taken out before I can become long-term bullish on Bitcoin? Well, it's as simple as flipping above the daily EMA ribbons. Now, if we do extrapolate this over a tiny bit, you can see if we do something like this, we break up. At this point here, if we're heading up to 24,000 and getting rejected, we would have technically taken out the daily bearish hidden divergence. And then if we do come back down, 23,000, back test the daily EMA ribbons, and then start to move to the upside, we could very quickly, and by the way, by very quickly I mean within the next 2 to 3 weeks, we could potentially see a bullish flip over on the daily EMA ribbons. And I think this would be a very nice step in the right direction. So as I have been saying on my channel, I'm really not here to tell you where the exact bottom is. No one knows where the exact bottom is. I don't have a crystal ball. Other YouTubers don't have a crystal ball. But what I can say is, based on previous trends, if you are buying, you know, if you're not necessarily buying at the exact bottom, but you are buying the not the breakout, if you're buying the break above the daily EMA ribbons, and then you're buying the back test, so, you know, you're waiting for the break above, you're waiting for the successful back test, and then as you start to push back up to the upside, if you do buy that retest, you know, in the last cycle, you would have literally bought within 18% of the bottom. And if we do zoom out, you can see, I'll put this on the weekly time frame. Let me zoom all the way out. I can't even see where it's, oh, here it is now. Don't know how that got all the way over there. So if you literally bought on that retest of the daily EMA ribbons, you would have still had, you know, almost a 1,800% gain. So this is definitely a type of move that I'd be interested in. I would definitely be buying lots of Bitcoin if we did manage to successfully flip the daily EMA ribbon. So let's say hypothetically within the next 2 weeks, so in 14 days time, Bitcoin moves to the upside, it breaks above this hidden bearish divergence, lollygags, and then it breaks above, let me just put on the EMA ribbons for here, and then it breaks above this level here, round about 23,500, back tests it, and then heads up to the races. Let's say at this moment in time, in 2 weeks time, we've done both. Number one, invalidated the hidden bearish divergence, and number two, we've hopped above the daily EMA ribbons, which we've been under for such a long period in time. What is the final thing that I would need to see to make myself bullish on Bitcoin again? So what I'd actually need to see is I'd need to see the Fed backpedal. We've got our next FOMC meeting in the next 3 weeks. We're going to be finding out in the next 3 weeks as well, based on our GDP report, if we're going to be in a confirmed recession. So, you know, if both of those things happen, if we do have a rally to the upside in the next 2 weeks, and this does end up being a failed move, let's say even hypothetically that this bear flag manages to elongate for a prolonged period in time, and in 2 weeks time, when we do have this next FOMC meeting, we are round about this 23,500 to 24,000 range, and we're literally pressing above the daily EMA ribbons. If we do get in a confirmed global recession, which once again we'll find out in the next 2 weeks, and also if the Fed continues to increase the interest rates up by like 100 basis points, in my opinion, I would not be bullish, because I think that at that point we would be getting ready for one last capitulation to the downside. And in this capitulation, this is where I would be absolutely aping into Bitcoin. But once again, if I am wrong, if all of those things go in the way of Bitcoin, if for some reason the Fed backpedals, we find out we're not in a global recession, and Bitcoin manages to flip above this, you know, FOMC, the Fed backpedals, and subsequently the market start to rally after the retest of the daily EMA ribbons, I will be flipping very, very bullish. It has been well documented on my channel that I have been bearish for months now, so me buying the breakout of like 24,500, 25,000, when moon boys have been telling you this is going to the moon since, you know, 48,000 or so. We've been bearish this entire time. So once again, it's been very, very well documented. I've been extremely bearish on all of these altcoins. I've been very bearish on Bitcoin, and a lot of these have done, you know, well over 50% moves to the downside since I became bearish. So I would honestly be saving a massive, massive amount of money. Even if Bitcoin flips 25,000, the Fed backpedals, I'd be very, very happy to buy at this region and accept that potentially this was the bottom down here. But until that happens, until the hidden bearish divergence gets invalidated at 23,300, until we flip above the daily EMA ribbons at 24,000, backtest them, start to head up, and until the Fed backpedals, potentially one of the most brutal signals of all. If the Fed does not backpedal and they continue to increase the interest rates, if we see 100 basis point increase, which would be like the worst, I think this would be one of the worst increases in my lifetime, probably in the past, potentially in the past 40 years or so. It might have happened in the last recession, but nonetheless, one of the worst increases in the interest rates in a very, very long period in time. This would absolutely capitulate the markets. Also, as we are wrapping up the video, you now know what price targets I need to see broken. You now know what I need to see in terms of the Fed. Has anything changed in the greater markets? You know, no, the dollar is still on a massive rampage to the upside. It doesn't seem like the dollar is done running up to the upside yet. And also, the stock market's still heading down. You know, it's not like the stock market's had a big move today. The stock market's setting up for a lot of bearish retests. So once again, Really, absolutely nothing has changed. And if you are getting out of bed, you're basically getting out of bed to get out of bed for the same price target we were 3, 4, 5 days ago. Even if you're watching this video and we managed to push up to, 22,000, if we don't even get above, 22,500, we'll still be making a lower high on the daily time frame from literally like 5 days ago. So that's really all I have to say. 23,300, that is the hidden bearish divergence price target. That's in the short term where I'd start to get a little bit bullish. And then over on the, how have these charts merged? I don't know. But nonetheless, 24,000, that is the daily EMA ribbons. And then in the next 2 weeks, if the FOMC backpedals, I will turn bullish when they turn dovish. So all I've got today, my friends. I will be making another update on Bitcoin in a moment. But as of now, that's all I've got for you. Cowboy out. Peace.